This is Chapter 2, Lesson 8. We're going to talk about graphing linear and absolute value inequalities. The goal here is that you already know how to graph a line, and so that you're just using that knowledge to graph inequalities. Okay, so first of all, you need to be able to rearrange an equation and put it in slope-intercept form if it's not already, if you're just graphing a line. And then when you graph the line, there are two things that you want to make sure that you do. One, you want to make sure that if it has an equal sign underneath the inequality symbol, that you draw a solid line. So my graph would be like this, or my whole line is connected. There are no gaps in between. If, though, you do not have an equal to, you need to draw a dashed or a dotted line, which would look like this. And then, of course, the second thing that you want to remember is to shade appropriately. Okay, so after you draw your line, you can use a test point, 0, 0, the origin. As long as your line does not go through that point, you can use it and test which side you're supposed to shade on. If it makes the inequality true, you shade there. If it does not make the inequality true, then you shade on the other side. So let's see what I'm talking about. Starting with these examples, we know that 3 is the slope and -2 is the y-intercept. You always have to plot the y-intercept first. So on the y-axis, we'll go to -2. And then 3 is my slope, so it's a rise of 3, run 1. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 over 1. And continue doing this for a little bit. So from that point, 1, 2, 3 up over 1. 1, 2, 3 up over 1. And then we're going to connect them, but we need to be careful with the connecting. We're not just going to draw a straight line unless we have an equal to. Over here it's equal, but on this one it's just less than. So we need to make sure that we do a dashed or a dotted line because it follows this rule. Line it up. Please use a ruler or a straight edge. So now I have a dashed line. And now I need to shade. Well, 0, 0 is not part of my line here, so I can use it. So I'm going to test 0, 0. So I'll plug in, this is my y. I will plug it in for y here. And then plug in x of 0 when you see an x. We get 0 is less than 0 minus 2. 0 is less than -2. Well, is 0 less than -2? No, this is not true. This is false. So I don't want to shade where 0, 0 is. And 0, 0 is on this side of the line, over here. So I want to shade over here. And you shade the entire region. And what this means is that all of the points, the ordered pairs here, all of these points are your solutions. If I choose 4, 0 and plug it in, that point should give me a true statement when I work it out here. This one did not work, so I don't want to shade there. Okay, let's try the next one. The y-intercept is 1, so I go to 1, plot the point. The slope is -4, so a rise over run looks like -4 over 1 or 4 over -1, either way. So I'm going to go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right a +1 towards the positive numbers. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over. Now I'm going to go back to the starting point and show you that if I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and backwards or to the negatives 1, I still stay in line with the line that I'm forming. The equal to part says, hey, make your line connected. Make sure that it is all connected. Do not do it dashed. Make sure you put arrows on any of the lines that you're drawing. Okay, from this point we need to shade. Again, I do not go through 0, 0 so I can use it. So I'm going to plug in 0 here, 0 there. So I get 0 is greater than or equal to, that cancels, and I get 1. 0 is not greater than or equal to 1. It's neither. So on this side here, I don't want to shade unless it's true, and it's not true. So I don't want to shade on this side because that's where the 0, 0 is. So I don't want to shade here. I want to shade all of this. And so that's how you do, that's how you graph linear inequalities. Now let's graph absolute value inequalities. You may want your calculator for this, and that's okay, or you can plug in points, it doesn't matter. You remember that the absolute value equation creates a V shape, so these should be V shapes, and they have been transformed in some way. This is shifted up, and it's also a vertical stretch by 2. So we want to make sure that we do this correctly. Let's just plug in 0. If I plug in 0 here, I'm going to get 0 for all of this, plus 3. So at 0, negative 3, there is a point. At 0, positive 3. Okay. And then we can plug in 1. If we plug in 1, we get the absolute value of 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2, and plus 3 is 5. So at 1, we're at 5. Not 4. 5. I'm going to go ahead and do negative 1. At negative 1, the absolute value is 1. Again, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. So at negative 1, we're also at 5. And at this point, I can see the V shape. So I don't have to go any further. I don't have to figure out any more points because I can see the vertex and the change in direction. Now I need to look at my symbol. It's got the equal to, so I need to draw solid lines. And again, I can use a test point of 0, 0. This is also easy to see, like if you have a V shape and it's, in this case, it's less than. Y is less than. If I were to flatten this out, less than would be below. And so anything that's below the V shape is what you want to color or shade. But if I used a test point 0, 0, and I plug in 0 is less than or equal to 2 times the absolute value of 0 plus 3. Well, this cancels out because it'll be 2 times 0. And we'll have 0 is less than or equal to 3. That is true. 0 is less than 3. So since 0, 0 is here, I want to shade everywhere that includes, and it's looking at your shape. Anything that is in the region, like it's either inside or outside. And so this is all on the outside is where we're going to shade because the 0, 0 was on the outside. So everything here is a solution. Okay, and let's try the next one. So if I plug in 0, absolute value of 0 is 0, minus 2, we get negative 2. So at 0, I'm at negative 2. At 1, I get 1, because the absolute value of 1 is 1, and 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then if I plug in negative 1, I get 1, and 1 minus 2 again is negative 1. So I can see the V shape here. Check out the sign. The symbol here says it's not equal to, so we need to make sure we draw dashed lines. Make sure you put your arrows on. And then if we check 0, 0, notice that the 0, 0 point now is inside the V shape. So if it is true, we'll shade inside the V shape. If it's not true, we'll shade outside. So I'm going to plug in 0, 0. 0 is greater than the absolute value of 0 minus 2. 0 is greater than negative 2. 0 is greater than negative 2. So since it's true, I shade all on the inside. And even down here. And that is how we graph absolute value and linear inequalities. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know.